Welcome to The Current by TreasureCoast.com, where we discuss interesting people, places, and happenings on Florida's Treasure Coast.
Yeah, man. Well, Dane, I appreciate you being on, dude. Why don't we start by just talking? Why don't you tell the people like who you are and what you've got going on?
My name is Dayne Oldenborg. I'm a Stuart native. I've been here my entire life, and I wasn't necessarily planning on running for the City of Stuart Commission until I looked at the lineup. And when I looked at my opponent, Eula Clark, she was pretty much running unopposed. And I'm not really new to politics. In fact, I've been battling corruption on the internet for quite some time, whether it was scammers, dirty politicians, you name it. I'm pretty seasoned to going after bad people. We'll just call them. So when the opportunity was presented, not even presented, but just when I analyzed the situation, I knew I had to at least try. And if you ask me, I think I'm one of the hardest candidates Eula Clark has faced in 15 years.
You know, that's fun. It's interesting that you had mentioned that you didn't really see it coming. What were some of the big? Was the main thing that you didn't want Eula Clark, who she's probably the longest sitting commissioner in the city now, was the main thing that you didn't want her running unopposed, or are there certain things that you felt going on in the city that you wanted to have a different say at, or what was the main driving force?
Yeah, it's when I say running unopposed, I mean like I say that to say like if I thought that she was a good candidate, I wouldn't be running. And I just feel like
Yeah.
the past 15, 20 years, our town has been getting railed until about 2022 is when I really started looking at our leaders. And started with Chris, and then we got Reed in there. We got Giobi. That was the biggest change I think we've seen in a very long time in regards to the people having a say or more grassroots candidates. So that was like when I came in tune to more local politics, I would say.
And what's your background? I mean, I know like you had mentioned some people have followed you online. You're like, do you want to talk a little bit about, I guess, your background and what got you here?
Yeah, me personally, a lot of people know me as Yacht Papi, the guy that drives the boat car, and I've amassed a very very large fan base. So that was the other thing that kind of made me feel like I could run. I already am known by a large percentage of the community. The community knows what I do on the internet. Which is two different ways you can see it. I do make a lot of funny videos. I drive my boat car across the country, but I'm also that guy that will go after anybody that I feel is corrupt. So, yeah, I feel like, yeah, if you don't know, I've driven the boat car for like 4 years. I've had four different boat cars, and that really elevated my social status, I guess you could say, to a point where I feel like I am a strong candidate. A lot of people know me and what I stand for. So I've been doing social media stuff for a long time. That's how I get majority of my money is through the internet. So yeah, I've amassed millions and millions and millions of views, and yeah.
And what do you like? What are your thoughts as far as like the three or four main things at the city? Like, what are some of the things that are the most important to you? I know, like for a lot of people, they'll talk about growth or traffic or housing or, there's a lot of things that I think people can point to and say, hey, look, we want to do better. We want to have a better shot at this. We want to do better for the next generation. What are some things to you, being from here, that you would say are probably the most important?
I think that number one, it feels like we don't really have a voice. I shouldn't say that because, like I said, we've had three strong candidates, but if this election goes bad, we won't necessarily have the voice we need. It won't be what the people wants. Like I said in the forum, we will be on the outside looking in. They will close the blinds on us the second you let the wrong candidates on that board. So I think that giving a voice back to the people, giving the power back to the people is my biggest concern. And overdevelopment. The way that we've approached it, I think, is completely wrong. My opponent approved 3,000 apartments in 4 years, totally unaffordable. And it just feels like my opponent fights harder against things that our citizens want. But when it comes to a developer asking for a zoning change, it's like that. It's a rubber stamp for these guys. So that'd be number two. And then number three, um hmm I guess I'm really into the wildlife and the environment, and there's specific people that are in our community that are supposed to protect our wildlife. And when these monsters come to the city hall and they give their report on projects, it's always false. It's disgusting. They get six figures for doing it, and our commissioners aren't strong enough, or maybe they don't have the knowledge that we need to attack these people and what they're doing to our community. So, in regards to the water, in regards to the animals, they are weak. The past commissioners, especially the ones that are trying to rerun it, they just don't really. I mean, I can't say they don't, but it just doesn't seem like they care about the environment like we should. Just off the top, just another thing about them, it's like one of the commissioners made a comment about how the chickens would affect the water, but it's like you allow fake fertilizer for everybody that's on the water. So there's just so many things, and it gets deep, but they just don't care about the environment like somebody like me would.
What are your thoughts? I assume you're talking about the backyard chicken thing.
Yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Essentially, you got to look at it from a much larger perspective. Industrial farming is the downfall of our entire society. If Publix closes down, if Walmart closes down, like, we're gonna die. So when
Right,
it comes
right.
to backyard chickens, uh, we should be able to grow our own food. And majority of the concerns people have are, well, it brings rats. And my response to that is, if the netting or the fencing was small enough, then a rat couldn't get through. People like my opponent, Eula Clark, say she's being rushed, but if she's being, it just doesn't make any sense. We pay $200,000 to an environmental attorney, and if you're telling me it takes 2 months for that lady to draw a conclusion of what needs to be done, that's just not the case, and that isn't the case. We Everything's been stated, the facts have been stated, and as long as we put the right guidelines in, it wouldn't be a problem. So when she says she's being rushed, I really can't respect that. I think we should rush to a correct answer. It shouldn't take 2 months to draw this conclusion. And Rich just says a bunch of stuff about pollution. It just doesn't make any sense. You allow fake fertilizer all throughout the city. And I support the chickens with the regulations that everybody wants. If the rats are the problem, make the netting smaller. The pollution can't be a problem. We are a city of fake fertilizer. So I'm all
Yeah.
for cutting back on industrial farming as much as we possibly can, and educating the people on the cheap eggs that are stuffed with soy and glyphosate that we have to eat if you can't afford $12 organic eggs.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, I know that first came up quite a bit ago, and it was really close to getting passed, and then it's been for whatever reason people have been bringing it up a lot lately. What do you think? I mean, are there things that come to your mind as far as specific to you guys are what group? Would you guys be in group two that you're running for?
I'm in group 5.
Group five? Is there anything
Yes.
specific in that district that you guys are that you think is really important to you?
Yeah, I think East Stuart is a historical black community, and there's no reason that a guy that looks like me should be fighting harder for East Stuart than somebody that looks like Eula Clark, that says she loves the community, she says she lives in it and she loves it and all this stuff. But when the citizens of East Stuart come and they beg Eula, please don't do this to us, Eula, please don't do this, you're going to ruin the community. She doesn't listen to them and she votes against it. So it's like in my head, are you not smart enough to understand gentrification, or do you not care? It's got to be one of the two. So that was a really big concern of mine of why she wouldn't want to protect her own community. It makes me think that she's bought out um, $30 million for a bankrupt Brightline, the 3,000 apartments in 4 years, a Costco plan that a judge ruled was totally against the environment. Um, it just goes on and on. And 55 acres of our city owned land got motioned for $1.3 million. It was for her donor. So I don't respect a lot of the things she does. And the more I dig, the more I just I know that I seriously need to win this election to help the community.
You know what? Are there specific things that come to your mind when it comes to things like, um, I think you had mentioned like rezoning or so, because I remember there was something that come up, and again, I hadn't talked to, I've never talked to Commissioner Clark about this, but I've talked to other. We had uh, Commissioner Reed on the podcast who talked about some of the zoning and land use changes that happened in the East Stewart area that was residential to business or vice versa, that maybe he felt was going to lead to more development or commercialization of some of these areas. I mean, is there anything specific to you that stands out that you feel like should be done for the constituents in Group 5?
Yeah, when in regards to the zoning changes in East Stewart, if you love East Stewart, then you should want, when a developer comes there and he wants to build something, the citizens should know. They should be notified. They should be allowed to attend a hearing and have a say on it. And my opponent didn't want that. She voted against that. So I really respected the meeting, I want to say in 2024, 2025, where Sean, Reed, Giobe, and Collins all made it harder for these developers to come in and take over that area. A lot of people don't realize how easy it would be to gentrify that neighborhood. When you combine the ballparks with the bright line, with the zoning changes, it's just a recipe for disaster. I've been all around the United States. I've seen it everywhere. And if you understand gentrification, that you know that these are the stepping stones to totally wiping out that community. And the citizens there know it. They've tried to tell her. She does not listen to them. And the second part of your question, I think. So I was looking back, and I want to say 2017 in the videos, and I want to say, when I'm pretty positive that when Eula Clark was asked about the baseball fields in regards to building apartments, I want to say her question was, well, how will the view look? Do you guys know how the view will look? And that's just a joke. If anybody asked me about the developing on the ball fields, I don't care how the view looks. It's a no for me. So I don't believe in rezoning any parks that we have to allow apartments, especially in a historical neighborhood. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, yeah, especially that strip, that whole area there. I mean, I know that was a big thing, and it's coming up again. Like this is one of those things that's coming up again now, which it was a big thing back when. I don't know. This probably is going back like 8 years at this point that I remember first hearing about it. So it is interesting when these things like
Oh wait,
a big thing like
one thing I
sailfish
want to
ball
add.
fields. Yeah, yeah, please.
Yeah, one thing I want to add is another thing in regards to that is my opponent doesn't want the referendum. She votes against it. And for those that don't know what that means it would be up for the people to decide. And if you think for a second that the people in our community would be in favor of changing the baseball fields to some type of development, it would never happen. So when you say you don't want a referendum on it, it just makes me think you have something to hide.
So what are your thoughts? I mean, if you're gonna if you're gonna look forward 5 years from now, 4 years from now, let's say you were to get elected, what would you define as a success? What would the city of Stuart look like, or what are some things that you would feel like you had done or accomplished that would lead to you saying, "Hey, look, it's been a good run"?
I plan on doing more for the youth than any commissioner has ever done in the history of Stuart. I plan on giving the people back a voice. So when it comes to uh, deciding on these developments, because we're running on responsible growth. So when it comes to these projects, it's I'm never going to rubber stamp anything for these people. Let's cut back on the growth. Let's try to lower the taxes, which is controversial because of the new bill they might pass. But just making it more affordable, keeping it local, maybe educating the people on the poison in our community in regards to the fertilizers. Whatever our environmental attorney brings to the table to help the river, I'm voting yes on. I want to see more progress for the river than we've ever seen in our entire lives. I want to cut back on the toxic receipt. Every receipt that gets printed is a toxic piece of paper. I want to see yeah, like I said, I'm all about environmental friendly. I want to leave the greenest footprint that's ever been left. Yeah, I just want to do the most positive things that I can and not be in a developer's pocket. And like I said, I want to be the voice for the people and not feel like they don't have a say in anything.
What are your thoughts? You had mentioned doing things for kids. Is there anything in particular that comes to your mind? Because that's one of the things that I was talking about with someone who actually they advertise with us. They advertise at treasurecoast.com. And they were talking about how in other cities, it's so easy to get kids. It's like organized children's sports, for example, is so there's just so much more behind it in other places than we have here. I'm interested if there's anything in particular that comes to your mind when you say something like, more things for the kids.
Yeah, just one thing off the top. I was talking to a man in East Stuart named Jimmy Dab. He's trying to get two vans for a historical football team that's been one of the best football teams in our area, doesn't have any vans. But aside from that, East Stewart specifically, those kids don't really go to the beach. They don't go to the river. So when I go to East Stewart, every little kid I see, I ask them, hey, would you surf if you could? It's an overwhelming yes. I would love to introduce that community to as many water sports as possible. We are a water culture, and I know one black surfer, and he lives in Jensen Beach. So I plan on, and I get it. Surfing is expensive. The board's expensive. The lessons are expensive. I'll teach every single kid for free. I'll provide the boards. I'll do whatever it takes to at least allow those kids the opportunity that all of us, everybody else had. So that's one of my biggest things. I want to introduce the kids of East Stewart to more water sports. Everybody everywhere else, the youth, they're pretty well off. I think that's just our my main area of concern. It's when I go around there, it's just it's a different world for the youth. And like I said, I don't see a lot of the black culture out there
One of the
in the
things that
water.
and got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things too, is I think balancing for a lot of people, it's going to be whatever group you're running in, you kind of have to balance getting what you can for your district or the people that are electing you, so it's like you also want to make sure that you're doing your best to look out for not just, okay, look, we're going to get some, maybe we're going to grab some land and it's going to lead to conservation, but also like, hey, where's the piece of the pie for the people who are going to be looking out for us? And maybe like things like you mentioned with buses for local sports teams. I mean, things that might be even like low hanging fruit, depending on what connections are made, might be pretty important. What's the football team you were talking about? They were
The Stuart Hornets, they don't have any vans. They can't get anywhere without the
really
parents, and it's kind of hard for that community to round the kids up for that. So I would love to see. There's a lot of situations like that out there too, but that's just one that I talked to Jimmy Dab. We did a Lego competition at Stuart Middle School the other day, and he was stressing about these vans, and I said, "Man, it's sad that we have all this money. We're in $1 billion community, and you're trying to get 2 vans." So
right. Yeah.
that's just one.
What do you have you seen the plans for Guy Davis Park there on 10th Street?
I haven't seen it. I've just I remember listening to the city hall meeting, and it was pretty much, oh man, this lady was a piece of garbage. Her name was I think it I think it was Becky Bruner. That was just like, she was trying so hard. Don't quote me because I want to make sure this is the right situation. But if I'm right, man, I think it was Becky Bruner trying so hard to get rid of this land to a developer, and everybody was like
Of Guy Davis?
trying to pump the brakes. Yeah, I
Really?
gotta go back in my notes. I'm pretty sure that she was trying to throw that away.
Well, yeah. Well, if someone's watching it or something, they can do their, I'm sure they could Google it and figure if that's. I haven't heard the name or anything, and to be honest, I wasn't following it. I've just seen like when the city would they would post an update about, hey, look, this or that. I don't think anything's like super finalized with it, but I mean, from what it has seemed in the past, like they're looking at doing some really cool stuff with Guy Davis, and that to me is one of the coolest parks. That'll be in your district, and that to me is one of the coolest parks where you've got a lot of green space, you've got a ton of sports areas, you've got like the concession stands, you've got that little community center that I think is part of it.
You know what? I did hear one thing, and this makes me happy. Teak, Teak from 561.
Yeah.
Yeah, Teak's a legend, and he's done more for the youth than almost anybody, especially him. Jordan from Ohana, they've done a lot. So when Teak, I think he's pulling he's proposed that skate park that's coming.
Right.
So I think
right.
that's going to be super cool for those kids. I hope that they really take advantage of how fun that situation could be, because that's a great location. There's a ton of kids that are just not doing a whole lot of stuff. So I really hope that they love that thing he's bringing to them.
Cool, man. Well, Dayne, before we wrap up, where can people learn more about your campaign, and is there anything else you want to say before we finish it off?
If you want to learn more about me, you can follow me on Facebook, Dayne Oldenborg for Stuart Commission. I got a website, DayneForStuart.com, and I'm trying to do what's right for the people. I'm not backed by a $250,000 fund like my opponent, Eula Clark. And like I said, I want to bring environmental friendly ideas. I want to speak for the people and finally give us a voice. It's a very, very important election. If 3 of the wrong people win, our quality of life, in my opinion, will go down. So I hope you guys do your research. I hope that you really look into the candidates running and make the right decision. A lot is on the line. And thank you so much for having me, Josh. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you being on. It's good to chat with you.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Current by TreasureCoast.com. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Follow us on social media or visit TreasureCoast.com for local events, tips, and news. Have a guest or topic you'd love to hear on the show? Let us know at TreasureCoast.com. Until next time, keep riding the current and enjoying everything the Treasure Coast has to offer. See you soon.